Next, Bill's American Diary takes us to Delancey Street, where success is an addiction.
Our American Diary has taken us from the Mississippi Delta to a B-17 ride in Wisconsin, from the Amish country of Pennsylvania to a refugee camp in Florida. We find ourselves far to the west this morning in the city by the bay.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning.
We came to San Francisco to check in on a very unusual success story. It's called Delancey Street, a halfway house that, by all normal standards, should have failed long ago. For 15 years, Delancey Street has pinned its future on 350 felons, teenage prostitutes, and drug addicts.
I was a heroin addict for almost 30 years before that. I started using heroin when I was about 17. I was in service.
I mean, I was like a real sleazeball before I came. I mean, I was like, if you could typify a convict drug addict, sleazy, snaky, oily, well, that was me.
Delancey Street is run by its own residents. They count on each other to earn the money, counsel newcomers, enforce the rules, and rebuild their lives.
These people have been on the receiving end of life their entire lives. They've been receiving welfare, they've been receiving therapy, they've been receiving punishment, and no one has taught them responsibility. No one has needed their strengths.
Criminologist Mimi Silbert is the only outside staff.
And we take a tremendous risk at Delancey Street. We depend upon their strengths emerging.
Delancey Street takes its name from a street on New York's Lower East Side, where years ago old world immigrants rebuilt their lives through hard work and self-reliance. Those tools are used here as well. No government handouts are accepted. And so they do something unusual for convicts and drug addicts. They work, running their own successful businesses. The Delancey Street Moving Company makes $500,000 each year. The businesses pay the bills and also serve as training grounds. Abe Issereri was released and returned to prison 4 times.
Here you learn to be responsible, and you learn the skills in which to survive. And in prison, you are just warehouse. I mean, you arrive, and the whole notion is to maintain you there and not on the streets where you can hurt someone.
Several thousand have made it through Delancey Street, but it's not an easy program. A quarter of all those who sign up will drop out before the 2-year treatment. But some stay longer. Pam Clark has stayed 6 years. She now runs Delancey Street's warehouse, but at age 14, she was a prostitute and heroin addict.
I think the biggest feeling I had then was, just keeping myself totally obliviated, as loaded as I could be, to block out what I was doing, in terms of the prostitution and whoring and that whole, part of my life. I think what made me change is that the biggest impact is that people cared about you. I mean, that there was hope.
Everybody saw me as a failure, really. Everybody saw that anything that they did for me would have been a waste of time. That was the general feeling, except Delancey Street.
How was your weekend?
Robert Parker has been convicted of armed robbery and burglary. He was facing another 17-year sentence when the courts agreed to Delancey Street as an alternative. His current job, working for Delancey Street's transportation company.
You have to pay society back. We are people here who have ripped society off. And it's a matter of balancing the scales. And you balance those scales by a whole series of decent acts and building a sense of integrity.
By the time they graduate, Delancey Street residents are essentially rebuilt. They are taught everything they will need to survive in legitimate society, including how to deal with anger and guilt.
This guy took you in. How does a nice person feel that? Ain't nobody else took you in off those streets, and he did, and he hung with you, and he hung with you through your first year here when you were like a lunatic.
I don't know what to do about it, baby. I don't know.
Their encounter groups are called games. Everyone attends 3 times a week. Bill Kroll watched his mother die of cancer and turned to heroin. Now his best friend at Delancey Street is also dying.
Now, there is absolutely nothing we can do about the fact that some people die, but there is something we can do about the way that you live.
He's gonna die. Right?
We know that. We know that.
He's gonna die, and when he dies, you cry and you wish he wasn't dead, so big deal.
With the current push to give criminals longer sentences and to build more prisons, it would have made sense if Delancey Street had shut down by now. But in fact, it has expanded with programs in New York and New Mexico. Its success rate for graduates continues to be 90%.
Here's another way to measure the success of the Delancey Street programs. They were responsible for the first awarding of real estate licenses ever given to felons, and more than 100 graduates have now become real estate agents. A few have even become lawyers.
90% success rate.
Not a bad success rate.